Hi, my name's Tom. I was sent this XCOOL precision screwdriver to go ahead and tell you all the details about it, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So this is the XCOOL precision screwdriver. If you work with electronics or you work with home improvement stuff, even this, look around your house right now and look at everything that's small. Remote controls, another remote control, keyboards, mice, controllers for video games. All of these little things have tiny little screws in them, and all of these things are really expensive to replace. So you often want to go ahead and repair them or work on them or do something. So if you work with electronics, home improvement stuff, anything around the house, you actually need this tool. This is something that I never thought I needed until I knew it existed, and now I say, oh my gosh, how the heck did I live without it? So let's talk about what's actually included in it. I've actually used it for about a week and a half now. I've used it for a couple different little projects, and I'll actually go through a couple of them. I didn't film them while I was using it on the project, but I'll show you what I did. First of all, you get this. This is the XCOOL case. This thing is metal. It's not plastic. This is a solid, heavy case. I love this thing. One way to go ahead and get me on your side, you go ahead and say, oh, Tom, we're going to show you this cool thing. And I'll say, how cool is it? Does it have a case? Yes, if it has a case, if it has a built-in storage solution, I'm on it. I like things that are stored nice and neatly. And look at this. Super, super neat. Watch this as well. First of all, you do have a little USB port here. That's actually for charging it. We'll get to that in a second. You press the button, spring-loaded, and it opens up. Ooh, it's almost like a James Bond sort of a thing. So here's a case, again, just kind of a blank metal case there, but this is what you end up getting. You get this precision screwdriver. I'll show you how that works. It's really, really pretty cool, and you get a ton of pieces. You can see this, like 52 pieces, I think. I'm not going to go through all the little bits, but suffice to say, you get a ton of little bits here. I actually have one little thing that's an extra bit. Just so you know, these little bits are held in with magnets. Just kind of stick in there. Oh, did I mention? Yeah, you get more bits on the back side too. So we have bits on both sides, and again, fits right into the case just like that. Close it up, you're not going to lose anything. I'll get to the screwdriver in a moment, but let me show you what else you get. You actually get with it, obviously, a charging cord, little USB-A on one side, C on the other, C gets plugged into it. You got a nice pair of tweezers. These are actually nice because they have metal on the ends, but it looks like they're actually insulated on the actual tweezer itself. So if you work with a lot of electronics, that's great. And then you actually get this thing here. Now, I've used a butter knife for years for this sort of stuff, but this is an actual real pry bar. This is an electronic pry bar. You're like, what do I need that? Well, here's my PS5 controller. My son actually worked on this controller about a week ago, actually, when I first got this. He didn't actually use a screwdriver at the time. He used a pry bar, though, because you need to actually pry a couple pieces out. So this pry bar is for putting in there and kind of pulling the electronics apart. It's nice and thin on the sides. It's nice and big. It's easy to work with. This is just really, really handy. And again, one side's kind of pointed, one side's a little flatter, depending upon what you need. It was just a nice gesture, and I've found myself using the pry bar and the tweezers to some extent to pull screws out, more than I thought I would be, actually. So let's go ahead and talk about the actual screwdriver itself. First of all, it's in the case. It'll charge in the case. You do have a little USB-C port here. You just plug this into a power block, plug it in, charge it up. It does have some little LEDs that show you how much power is actually in it. The way this comes out is you just pull it out, just like that. There's little charging ports in there, and it charges off the back of the screwdriver. This is the screwdriver itself. I cannot emphasize how cool looking this feels. First of all, it is a metal casing. It is not plastic. It is quite pretty good quality. You can see right here, you actually have this up and down button, and then controlling the button, you'll actually see a little display as to what you're doing. It is an electronic screwdriver, so it actually will have different modes, and it goes ahead and turns. If I press the button down, you can hear that turning. See how it moves? I can press the other button. One way is tighten, one way is loosen, left, right, however you want to think about it. But you can see that it's now turning. It really is pretty easy to handle. What I like about this, it's nice and metal. It does have some heft to it. There's batteries in here, obviously. It feels good in the hand. It's not too small. So here's what I use to work on electronics most of the time. This little crappy thing, if I actually look at it, it's actually a little bit bent. This is hard to do. After you do this 75 times, your hand starts to hurt. You don't have to worry about this with the electronic screwdriver. It's very precision-based. It stops immediately, and it starts immediately. I can start, stop, start, stop. Start, stop. It's very quick. It's not going to overturn one way or the other. It works really, really well. Right now I happen to be in drilling mode. There are actually different torque settings. You can kind of press the button, hold it down for a second, and you'll see a little menu pop up. There we go. And then you just tap this top button. So there's different torque settings. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'll leave it there at 4. I'll just kind of leave it there. And what it'll do is once I start turning, it's now at 4. And you'll see it actually says a little 4 there. So now I can kind of go back and forth and I can turn it. Now, there's also a light on it. That's actually really pretty useful. If you just kind of tap the back button again, there we go. There's the light. Tap it, turn it off. Tap it, turn it on. The light's actually very useful for when you're working in PC cases. And I did work I worked behind my PC earlier this week, and this was actually really helpful because down at the bottom of a desk, normally what I do is I get my phone light, I turn my flashlight on, I throw the phone to the side, just light up the whole area. That doesn't necessarily get where I want to be because sometimes I'll have to turn a screw and my hand will be there blocking the light. So this puts the light exactly where you're going so that your hand's not blocking anything. So let's talk about bits. You have two different types of bits. You have drill bits and they have a little hexagonal end on them, and then you have, let's talk about bits. You have little screw bits like this. There's a whole bunch of different types there, and they have a little hexagonal end, and then you have drill bits, and those are actually rounded on the end. And again, they all click into the case just with magnets. So click, and I'll go click, there we go. So with the actual drill bits themselves, they can just kind of go into the casing here, just kind of pop right in. It's hexagonal in there. There is a magnet that holds it in. It will stay in for the most part. It still does come out pretty easily, but it does kind of click in there. You'll kind of feel it. If it's having a hard time, you can loosen up the sleeve a little bit to kind of get it in. But then once you're in there, all you do is you go ahead and go tighten or loosen. And you can see again, the display is moving and I have the light. I have the light because I had the light on initially. So now whenever I go ahead and I operate the screw, the light's going to stay on. If I want to go ahead and turn it off, I just turn it off. And then when I use the screw, the light will go ahead and be off. Now, for actually using a drill bit and screwing and drilling things in, you have to go ahead and use a little metal sleeve. So I'm going to open the end of it here. There we go. I'm going to put this little sleeve in. And the sleeve turns a hex into a circle. I can even go ahead and put my drill bit in there just like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and tighten this down. And what that'll do is that'll tighten it in there real nice and well. Now, when I drill, I have that drill bit on there and it's not going to come out. It's good and tight in there. Now, again, for drill bits, you probably want to go ahead and use the drill setting. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 different torque settings, and then you want to go ahead and go to the drill setting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold the button down for a second. And there we go. And I'm going to tap down to drill. So now I have drill selected, and then I can go ahead and just start using it. And now I have drill selected. Let's go ahead and give this drill a test. I'm going to go ahead and I have a relatively small drill bit here, so I'm not sure how far I'm going to get, but I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to drill into the wood. And sure enough, you can actually see it's throwing out some sawdust there. Let me keep going. Working pretty well. Now, would you want to build a mahogany dresser out of this? No, it's not designed for that. It's designed for drilling little holes in hobby projects, in like plastic electronic cases, doll houses even. You could use this sort of thing. This would be great for toy making, for toy repair. This is the sort of thing that you always thought you should have, but no one ever made it. I've used Dremel tools for things like this, but Dremels are way too powerful. This is perfect for hobbyists. This is perfect for people who work with electronics. A lot of home repair does involve consumer electronics, and consumer electronics have a lot of little screws in them. If you, wherever you're standing right now, look around. I bet you have a dozen little tiny screws somewhere nearby, and I bet half those objects you could actually work on and fix or repair or do something with. That's where this comes in. I also went ahead and repaired my treadmill. I had a weird situation where the wires themselves were obviously loose because I would go ahead and tap it and they would just turn off. So I went ahead and I took apart this whole plate using this to go ahead and do the screws initially. And then when I got in there, I had to take out a smaller little plastic plate. Again, just a bunch of screws, but it would be a pain in the neck to do it by hand. I took out that little plate, opened it up, looked in there, and just a little wire coupling that really was just kind of lousy. So I went ahead and just did a little bit of solder. I soldered it on there nice and tightened everything back up, used this. This made the job a whole lot easier. It actually cut the time in half easily of me just taking all the screws out and doing it. So again, really, really handy. Really, if you work at all with electronics, home consumer stuff, even home improvement stuff, anything that's got little screws and needs a little bit of precision or drilling, this is one really cool tool. In fact, it's an XCOOL tool. I really highly recommend it. It's very nice, and I really, really like it.